We need judges who work hard, have experience, integrity, and proven service to our community. Donna Gerner was born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, and got through college and law school at the University of Florida with scholarships and part-time jobs. Donna chose to make our community her home and began serving us in 1995 when she joined the state attorney's office prosecuting crimes for more than a decade, helping to keep our families and our community safe. Donna Gerner opened her own office in Altamont Springs in 2007 where she fought for people just like you in civil and criminal cases. She helped families keep their homes during the 2008 foreclosure crisis and has recovered more than $250,000 for families in personal injury cases. She has defended criminal cases and represented juveniles. She was also a certified family mediator and knows how to address divorces, child custody, child support, time sharing, and alimony issues. Donna Gerner has tried hundreds of cases before judges and juries across Central Florida and has been awarded for her outstanding trial skills. She is board certified in criminal trial law and is one of only 443 attorneys in the state of Florida who hold this distinction. This vast experience places Donna Gerner in the unique position of having litigated a wide array of legal issues on both sides of the courtroom. She knows how to balance the law on an individual basis with no bias or assumptions. She has also been a volunteer for Teen Court and has been recognized for her pro bono service to our community. Donna Gerner believes in equal justice under the law, and her service to our community over the last 24 years proves it. Donna Gerner has the qualities and experience to be our next circuit court judge.
Hi, my name's Donna Gerner, and I approve this message.
Hi, good evening, and welcome back. And with me today is Mr. Alan Borkowski. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly, sir?
Yes, you are.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And he is joining me today for the second half of our interviews. And welcome, sir. And, thanks for sticking around and thanks for agreeing to join me at this late hour at 9 o'clock at night. And hopefully we'll get the equal audience that the first interview got, who was able to stick around. But I'm going to allow you to start off by talking about yourself, your educational background, and why you're running for mayor, and then we will start off with a line of questioning.
Okay. Well, initially born and raised in Baltimore. Met my wife, mother-in-law, father-in-law came down to Palm Bay about 8 years ago, purchased some land. Ended up relocating down here about 6 years ago. Not much to tell other than I'm sorry, it's been a long day, Kevin. It's have hotel and housekeeping experience. I've had businesses. I've had contracting businesses up in Maryland. I really don't like to talk about myself much. I usually put my my introduction on my page. Those people that know me kind of have a different situation from just explaining myself and talking about myself and things like that.
Okay, awesome. All right, Mr. Borkowski. I understand you and your wife were in a car accident over the July 4th weekend, and is everything okay now?
Actually, it was the 26th. We were going north on San Filippo, and we were T-boned, unfortunately, by a 17-year-old driver. She blew through a stop sign. I did end up with a broken foot, concussion, several herniated discs. I might need surgery on my shoulder. Unfortunately, our vehicle was totaled. My wife ended up with a broken foot. Possibly needs surgery on her back as well. It was very bad. We were both transported by the wonderful individuals from Palm Bay Fire and Rescue to Palm Bay Hospital, and we were taken care of there, and it's a long road ahead, but we're making the best out of it. And then throwing the campaign in, it has not been good time wise, but in this business or in this world, there never is a good time.
Yes, we always got to be prepared. And unfortunately, I'm so sorry that this happened to you and your wife. And I know you guys reached out to me when it happened. And my prayers goes with you and your wife tonight.
Thank you.
All right, but I do have some tough questions for you, and I'm hopefully
Sure.
you're okay with answering them. I did quite a bit of research, and I have a line of questioning that I need to go down, and so I may be able to ask all of them tonight because I don't see quite the number of folks that we had a while ago on the first slide. But let me start off with in 2019, you almost dropped out of the race due to what you describe as on your former campaign page as harassment of your friends and families. What did you say? What did you, I'm sorry, or your friends and your family experience, to be exact?
There was a gentleman who was working on our vehicle, and he was promoting my candidacy at the time, and he was being harassed, unfortunately, by former employees of my wife's business, and put a lot of information out there, which I'm sure things are on the web. I'm not running away from it, and it was affecting his business. He was feeling threatened. He was feeling like money was being taken out of his pocket. He was trying to, just put out there a simple individual that was looking to make a change. And unfortunately, I made that decision at the time to try and stop some of the harassment on his part. To unfortunately, suspend my campaign. But after a lot of soul searching, I did not, and here I am now.
Okay. So what inspired you to stay in the race?
I want to make a change for Palm Bay. There's been so much corruption and unfairness within the city. I want to bring the government back to the citizens of Palm Bay instead of making decisions based out of what's best for me. It needs to be what's best for the community and what's best for the citizens.
Okay, great. Your website says that you have a bachelor's degree in business administration and human resources, executive level experience in hotels and hospitals, and have worked in a variety of industries, including owning a business. In addition to this, you have another bachelor's degree in criminal justice and corrections. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
The business, well, the bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I only got halfway through. I did not finish that. As far as the hospitals, hotels that I worked in my past, I've worked at Johns Hopkins. I've worked at Prince George's Hospital Center. I've worked at the Sheraton Inner Harbor Hotel in Baltimore as executive housekeeper, assistant general manager, and things like that.
Okay. Can you talk about your past work experience and how those work experience qualify you to be mayor?
Running a department or assistant general manager in a hotel, you have numerous people under you as far as employees, responsible for $2 to $3 million budget, which ended up lowering my budget, and ended up, if you're familiar with what happens in hotels, if you're under your budget, you get a bonus, that kind of thing. So I was always within my bonus. Never had any issues. As far as the hospital, again, it was all about cleanliness, making sure that the Joint Commission surveys were all taken care of, making sure that the hospital rooms were turned, just being able to be well versed not only with people skills, but also financial.
Okay. All right. We have a lot of questions here, so I know we're going to get a lot of questions from the community, and I'm going to ask you guys to. I'm going to get you to your questions here. Let me get you the personality questions, and then I will start taking some of your questions. So most of your professional educational experience lies outside of the political arena. Why the pivot to politics? Why did you hone in on politics?
I've always wanted to be into politics. Even living up north, it's always been a passion of mine. Being a part of two city boards right now, code enforcement, and also the community development advisory board, being able to make a change, being a voice of reason when it comes to the individuals that come before the code enforcement board that have issues. Pointing them in the right direction to, kind of marrying both of my boards together. Code enforcement, you have issues with not being able to get a roof, but the city with the CBDG funding has, part of the SHIP and the home program, options for individuals that can get grants and loans that are, forgiven or, very smallly repaid.
Okay, all right. Let's keep it moving. Let's see. Now, given that you moved to Palm Bay 6 years ago, am I correct?
Yes.
6 years ago. Do you feel that you have a solid grasp on the Palm Bay community and the issues that are important to you? And I have a follow-up question with that. Do you think you're qualified to represent this community?
In a general sense, being here for the past 6 years, being involved in the boards, helping past constituents run their campaigns and things of that nature, watching every code enforcement, every board meeting, every council meeting, for the past year and a half, being well versed as far as that goes. I have a good enough understanding of what's going on that I could be a asset to the dais, as far as in being a part of a well-versed group of what's out, what's being ran for right now. I think conjunctively we would be able to move Palm Bay in the right direction.
Okay, let's talk about your former business. Okay, your former business, Palm Bay Tactical. That's the correct name, right?
Yes.
Okay, it has an F rating, and I'm pretty sure you know about that on the Better Business Bureau website due to unresolved complaints. How do you respond to those complaints, and why did the store close?
Well, unfortunately, I took on too much too fast. Moved into a bigger location, and unfortunately, my wife took ill. I also had two surgeries back to back in the end of 2018. The store was left into the hands of who I thought was a capable individual, who unfortunately was not. And bills weren't paid. Unfortunately, bad things happened, and the business needed to be resolved or dissolved. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I understand that there's employees that still did not get salary from that business. Is that correct?
As far as I know, they received unemployment, and that took care of the last compensation. As far as any outstanding pays or anything of that nature, there was everything was still in litigation, and it is still to this day. So there's nothing that I can really do or even talk about, because the store still has every piece of furniture and everything in it from 2 years ago, and it's still in litigation. So as far as it goes, I can't even further discuss that.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you. So we understand why the store closed. I think we answered that question. Let's go to the public and ask. Let's see some of the questions there. I'm going to scroll back up here really fast. Let's see. All right, infrastructure. Okay, let's take the infrastructure question now. Kind of skipping ahead, but let's go ahead and take it now. Go ahead and answer that question. How will you handle all the needs of infrastructure?
Infrastructure.
And while you're answering that, let's talk about cover roads too. Tell us about your philosophy on a road maintenance fund as well.
Okay. As far as the road maintenance fund, there's already $3.5 million in there. As far as the additional monies that needs to go in order to maintain the roads after they've been completed, right now it's set up at $2 million allotment by the council that was agreed upon 5 years ago. It is still going forward. There has been numerous conversations about utilizing the overage or the savings, as some people like to say, from the road bond. I touched base on that a little bit and on one of my posts, and got into a discussion with a gentleman, and he brought up a very valid and good point. That money is not an overage. That is a debt. We need to return that money to pay down the bond, which will save the citizens of Palm Bay millions of dollars. That money should not be touched. It should not go for lights or sidewalks or anything of that nature. The current council should not touch it. It should go right back to the bond and pay down the debt. Which will, like I said, it'll take years off of the bond, and every year thereafter, the council should turn around and use that money as well and send it and pay down that debt immediately. So it's one of those situations that the infrastructure, yes, it is very important. Road maintenance fund. There's a few things that I was looking at as far as the budget goes. Not only that, but also the stormwater fee, trying to reduce that. As far as stormwater, being able to move some of the administrative costs over to the general fund. I know, once you hear moving something over from one fund to the other, your millage rate's going to go up. You start worrying about taxes. Well, I can also piggyback off of that a little bit more in detail if Kevin, you so desire. But it's one of those that, okay. As far as the stormwater, you move over the administrative costs, which will be a savings of about $3.5 million a year, which will in turn lower the $10.91 fee that is currently on homeowners per month down to an acceptable rate of anywhere between $5 to $7 a month. Yes, per month, which will take care of the major improvements, the continued stormwater replacements, the drainage, and so forth and so on. But increasing the millage is not an option. What we need to do is lower that, and the best way that we can do that is take some of the money that is gotten from the impact fees from the new construction, and also increase those property values. Which once we increase property values with all the new construction, bringing in potential businesses, especially with Bayside. I'm sorry, not Bayside. The new Parkway and all the growth down there, will be able to raise up the property value, which will in turn lower our millage rate from 8.13 possibly down to in the sevens, which will be able to maximize our dollar, save the residents of Palm Bay money, not only on stormwater but also millage.
Okay, so we talk about millage, we talk about stormwater, so we cover a lot of ground here. So you answered a whole bunch of questions that infrastructure line of questions right there for me. So thank you so much for doing that.
Sure.
Let's see. Let me go back to the audience really fast, because this is their show as well, and I want to make sure that I do take their questions. So give me 1 second here. Millage rate question was answered. Karen, hopefully he answered it for you. If not, let me know if you need anything else to be answered. All right, Mr. Carmine Vitali asks, how do you feel about increasing council to 7?
I agree with that. Each individual section of the city should have its own representation. Coming from up north, that was always the case. You know, if you were in District 1, you would have District 1 representation, not just a council at large like it is here. I'm all for reviewing the charter. At this point, with the new census coming out, it is mandated that the charter review happen. So I'm 100% on board with increasing the council to 7, even if it's one of those to have a seated mayor, a seated deputy mayor, and 5 other 4 councilmen for each individual quadrant, and then a councilman at large. I'm 100% on board with that.
Are you in favor of a strong mayor position?
Coming from up north, I would love to say yes, but down here, I know it's been one of those that it's a council city manager situation. I would be open to looking at that going forward with the charter review. And of course, it's based off of what the citizens prefer. If they prefer, the city manager to be responsible, I definitely, say, we need to continue on with the city manager and have the city council being able to set legislation and the city manager handle the day-to-day operations. If it's a situation that the constituents would prefer a mayor, deputy mayor, council kind of situation, we would not only save money, by eliminating the city manager and the deputy city manager's position. The mayor's position needs to be a full-time, 24-hour a day, 7-day a week responsibility, not a part-time, pop in and out during council meetings or any other meetings. And that's one thing I will do. I'll bring this back to a full-time position instead of a part-time, thing to add on my resume, to pad my resume for a new possible, run in 4 years for something else.
So basically, you'll be favor of a mayor that takes on more responsibilities.
Of course, no mayor in this that I'm aware of wouldn't, be open to more responsibility. But it, like I said, it also comes back to what the citizens would prefer. If they prefer the current situation as it is, and potentially going through numerous city managers, deputy city managers, on a bi-yearly basis, having to spend more money on headhunting firms and things of that nature, then I'm all for it, unfortunately. But again, with the mayor being elected duly, straight up and down, and having the mayor as responsible, you are guaranteed 4 or 8 years of solid governorship, and you can save money all the way through.
Okay. All right, let's take that one off the screen. And let's see if there's any other more questions before I proceed. Ms. Tony Morris asks, have you ever had any association with anyone sitting on the dais previously or currently?
I know everyone up there. I was appointed to the Code Enforcement Board by Brian Anderson. He's a nice guy. Unfortunately, he took a bad situation and made it worse. I did know Trey Holton. I know Harry Santiago. I know Mayor Capote. They're all nice gentlemen in their own way. As far as day-to-day dealings, no, I've never had any day-to-day dealings with anyone. It's one of those, I kind of stay to myself and just, take care of myself, take care of my wife, and just, now trying to run the campaign.
Okay. How do you feel about city or employees getting city contracts? How do you feel about employees getting contracts? If you're sitting on the dais as a councilman and you have a business, would you be bidding on contracts, period?
No, that's a conflict of interest through and through. What if your business comes up for, heaven forbid, something that needs to be done, whether it's towing a car that, unfortunately was involved in an accident, or you're dumping off some dirt in a city lot of some sort. No, that's a double dip. That's a conflict of interest. There should be no contracts between anyone on the dais and the city. And if you do have one, and which unfortunately I do know the situation you're referring to because I saw the interview last week. If that comes up, that should be terminated, and there should be no conflict of interest at that point.
Okay, thanks for answering that. Let's see. All right, folks, I'm going down the line of questioning here. All right, let me go back to my line of questioning. I don't see the questions so far.
Sure.
Let's see, let's go back to infrastructure for a second. And within that realm, you have a situation that happened recently with Click2Gov, the water bill.
Yes.
Tell me, how would you handle that differently? If you were sitting on that dais, what would you do differently to make sure that doesn't happen again? Like I explained last week in one of my interviews, that personally happened would touch my family in a heavy way. And so I need to know from you, how would you handle that situation? Because this is not second go around for the citizens of Palm Bay.
Of
So
course.
Go ahead.
I actually had an opportunity to sit down with Brian, who is the director of IT. And unfortunately, he says that, you know, some direct funding was not necessarily brought or approved. And it could have prevented some of the situations that happened by securing some of the servers and preventing, you know, any breaches as far as from our perspective. But then you also have the contracts that we deal with, the contractors like Click2Go. They need to be held responsible as far as, you know, securing their own networks and their own infrastructure to ensure that these things do not happen. They're being, put in charge of millions of dollars by local governments to get this information, and the payments taken care of and processed the appropriate way. And to have breaches of that nature, they need to be held, accountable, whether it be some sort of monitoring service for anyone that's been affected, or being able to restore the faith by eliminating fees or charges that are being governed towards the city, just to be able to make sure that things like that don't happen again.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And I do want to say something, about the Social Security disability. My disability will go away. This will be my full-time position, and I will be doing it as such. And just because I'm on disability doesn't mean that I'm disabled until the day I die. My opportunity to become whole again and be a member of this wonderful dais that is going to be set will be my primary responsibility, and I will no longer be on Social Security disability at that point.
Okay. How do you feel about the separation agreement being voted on tomorrow for the acting city manager? And so there's twofold question here. We're addressing the separation agreement for the actual manager that went away, and then the incoming contract for the acting manager.
As far as the situation with Lisa Mayoral, that was handled completely. What's the best way to say this without being so derogatory towards certain individuals? It was handled poorly for elected officials to handle it in that manner, and for her to be forced out was a shock to all of us. Yes, she did resign, and yes, it should have been 5-0 as far as the vote, but it should have never come to that. If she received stellar reviews or performance evaluations from the councilman, then there should not have been a reason to bring her or to pose that question to her as far as for her resignation. If in fact she was not in agreement to this, then it needs to be, there should be something brought, before the council and before the people, so that way it can be handled the way it needs to be handled. Without going into all the details about what all happened, I don't know, but I know it was handled very poorly. As far as the new situation with the acting city manager, you're not only putting an extra $60,000 onto a person that is already making six figures and is doing the deputy city manager's job, which under the bylaws, she's supposed to be responsible in an event there's no city manager to begin with. Yes, I understand she wants to protect her position, but put that in writing that if once a new city manager is seated, that she can go back to her deputy city manager's position. Yes, obviously, give her some sort of, monetary increase of $5,000, something of that nature. You don't need to pay someone $170,000 to sit and be on a clock for 6 months, especially with a new dais being sat in November, and then you have the holidays, the new year, and then what happens when the 6-month contract is up? We're left making a rash decision, possibly to bring her on. Yes, if her qualifications are good, then she applies, and we'll be more than happy to seat her at that point permanently. But you don't put a timetable on it as far as with the new dais coming on in November.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Mr. Randy Wickens, why are you always showing up late, sir? I always see your comments say that you're showing up late. Let's see. We dwell with corruption in some sense, but opine on it again for me one more time. What do you think about corruption in Palm Bay in general? What's your stand? What would you do to root out corruption?
Well, I know one of the best things to do is start with background checks, mandatory drug tests, to ensure you're being able to put somebody in a position to make a good determination and good representation for the city. As far as corruption,
so you say you believe in background checks?
Oh, of course. Yes. I mean, just as you've done a background check on me, and I'm sure half the city of Palm Bay has done as well. There's always two sides to every story.
Right.
But, it's one of those to sit down and have a conversation about it and to move forward. I'm not against anything that may be in someone's background and just having a conversation about it. But it's one of those, if you're going to be dealing with public finances, anything of that nature, a serious situation has, a serious conversation has to be had. The city of Palm Bay is drug free, and it should be maintained that way. As far as the corruption, hopefully, I can say, that situation may have been handled. There may be other things coming down the road that we're not aware of, according to whether it's the FBI, FDLE, or anything of that nature. Every municipality has some sort of rogue situation. Even the situation in New York. You have bad karma, bad news press, things like that. For Palm Bay, hopefully we have the appropriate situations handled with everything that happened with the JLAC audit, and having we need to have a fiscal responsibility audit, especially for the Space Coast paratroopers. There was individuals that had money involved in that that should not have had their hands in it, and several other things.
I'm hearing a lot. So let me ask you this. You believe in a criminal background check? 2 seconds or less. What do you think? Criminal background check? Yes?
I'm sorry?
You believe in criminal background check? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Financial check? Credit check?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I think those are the most ones that folks probably going to need to hear addressed. All right. So with that let's keep moving. Let me see. I don't see any other questions. I see a lot of comments. Okay, let me take this one. Should the mayor have gone up to Tallahassee to speak for Palm Bay about the audit findings?
Yes. Mayor Capote, he should have been first and foremost right in front of everyone on the audit committee, discussing the situation, the findings, and any potential situations that he could have rectified. It should have been also in conjunction with Ms. Morel, like she did go. But yes, the mayor should have been there, just like he should have been first and foremost out there in front of the COVID-19, pandemic, everything, putting out there the, information about the city stance, how the city was going to handle certain things and so forth.
So that goes back to the charter, right? So there was a narrative put out that because of the charter and the way the charter is written, the city manager was really in charge at the time of actually being the voice of Palm Bay because of the emergency order that was, the emergency situation that we were under at the time. So you're talking. So who is in charge when that happened? Do you know based on the charter?
Yes, once the emergency declaration is set forth, the city manager is responsible for the overall direction of the city. The mayor, as an elected official by the people, should have been out there as well, at least having a joint press conference or some sort of communication coming out of the mayor's office to assure the citizens that he is going to take care of it. He is aware of what's going on. Yes, he has limited power at that point because the city manager and the charter, states that it is part of that, part of that position, especially in an emergency. But to be a person of the people, being elected, he should have been out there as well, at least having a conversation.
Okay, so that would probably something that would need to review in the charter, right?
Of course.
Yeah, just to make sure that language is clear as to so there's no misconception going forward. And I think you agree with that, right?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, charter review needs to happen. Like I said, it is mandated to happen after the census, so it should be happening probably within the next 6 months to a year, if not sooner. And I'm 100% on board with the charter revisions, whether it be to increase the council to 7, have it as a mayor situation based off of having the mayor responsible, eliminating the city manager, or vice versa, having the citizens to be appointed. I don't necessarily agree with. I think it needs to be a half and half. 5 at-large individuals coming from the public, general public, and then each individual citizen or each individual councilman appointing one person, and then having the city attorney and the city manager involved as well.
So this answers Ms. Karen Fo's question. Should citizens be on the charter review? And I think you're going to say yes.
Yes. There should be at least 5 at-large individuals, and then 1 appointed by each of the councilmen and mayor, along with, like I said, the city clerk, the city manager, and the city attorney.
And Mr. Carmen Vitale says, I'll volunteer. So if you get elected, you name, okay?
Consider it done.
Okay, great. There you go. Let's see. So there we go. We answered a slew of questions there. So let's go back to let's talk about all right. Let's do some good quick questions, and yes or no on these questions. All right. Will you raise property taxes? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Well, you can't say yes or no on this, but tell me in briefly, what is your policy for eliminating patronage in city employment? And I think, I think you answered that already, but.
Yes. Yeah, I did. Again, it's, one of those situations that if you accept gifts, or if you're on a dais and you're supposed to represent the people, there should be no conflicts of interest. We as board members have to sign a financial statement and an agreement that we're not taking any kind of kickbacks or anything like that. As councilmen, it's also the same thing. Yes, there's checks and there should be checks and balances in place to make sure, but unfortunately, I'm sure things have fallen through the cracks as far as from the city or the county election board. So, but yes, as far as kickbacks, any kind of conflicts of interest, contracts, things like that, no go. I'm fully against that.
Okay. What will you do to eliminate red tape in the city of Palm Bay?
Streamline everything. By sitting on the code enforcement board, it can take 30, 60, 90 days, depending on how many, how much you need to, what do you need to get, whether it's a permit for a pool or permit for a fence or, whatever the case may be. Eliminating some of that red tape comes from internal, obviously looking at the staff, making sure there's adequate individuals that can handle that. Making sure that once a customer comes in, a citizen comes in, that they have the plat, they have the appropriate documentation, whether it's a site survey or for a shed, making sure that it's been, certified, rated to ensure it can handle a hurricane. Making it more timely, putting out the information on the website so that the customers actually know what they need to bring with them in order to streamline that and make it a lot faster and a little less time consuming. Obviously, like I said, just checking staffing to see if there's, allocations or ways to convert a person from a part-time position to a full-time that can, kind of add or help speed up the process.
Okay. I'm not sure where this question is going. So maybe you can answer. As a leader, should the elected official take responsibility of the outcome of a situation or blame his employees? Do you know that's quite? I'm not sure where you're going with that question. If you want to pass, just tell me.
No, I'll touch base on it.
Go
I
ahead.
take full responsibility about what happened. Unfortunately, there people are out there that are going to not necessarily agree with me. And no, any leader should not pass the blame. But if it is a situation that that circumstance came about and it was put in certain individuals' hands, then yes, they should have been handled appropriately, and blame is warranted at that point. But I take full responsibility for everything, including that individual's lack of responsibility or lack of being dutiful.
All right. Should the citizens elect the city manager? Should we?
I would say I would be remiss if I said, I would be against it, because I agree that it needs to be done. But I don't believe the city charter allows that. Once the review comes and it becomes part of that, the necessity put forth by the review committee, then that can be added in. Yes, it may be one of those fine line situations until we actually are able to sit a dais to be able to make a determination whether that would be in the best interest of the citizens. But I would be open to having that conversation, definitely.
Okay. I saw a question here about moving City Hall. Let me see, where is it? Where is it? I think Mr. Wickens asked, do you support moving City Hall to the south, to the new Emerald City? They say that the Emerald City is pretty much going to be the new beacon of Palm Bay. Shining light on the hill, so to speak.
Well, to answer Mr. Wickens' question, no, I do not believe that City Hall needs to be moved. That building is less than 10 years old, and there's still an outstanding debt that is on that building. It would be a waste of taxpayers' money to turn around and move City Hall again. As far as Emerald City has been in the plannings for so many years. I've heard so much about it. It's changed its name numerous times. As far as, whether it will be the next downtown, I would love to. I would love for that. I live down in Southeast. There would be nothing, better than to be able to go down and have like a Melbourne style downtown. Will it happen? Hopefully. I've been hearing about it for several years now, and with the addition of the name changes, nothing has really happened. The interchange to nowhere needs to be one of the things that will be taken care of, and then hopefully we'll be able to start utilizing that. And then once the developments start taking place and the Heritage Parkway is completed, once all the studies are completed, then hopefully, we'll get to a point to where Emerald City may in fact be, or Emerald Lakes as it's called now, may actually be a wonderful place to be. But as far as moving City Hall, no, I don't agree with that. It needs to stay where it's at.
Okay. All right. I need to get back to my line of questioning. I want to touch on affordable housing really fast. You recently posted a video on your media page of Citizen Brevard County Commission meeting on July 7th regarding the application process for rent and mortgage assistance program. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm on the right track here. In light of your commitment to make transparency a priority if you're elected, what will you do to simplify the process for assistance in the city of Palm Bay? Rental assistance, mortgage assistance, all of that.
Well, actually, we just had a conversation about that on my my community development advisory board meeting. We are looking for our consolidated plan for the next 5 years, and that was a hot button item that we just put out there. As far as the ability to utilize the funding from the SHIP in the home program to help the low to mod income home housing is definitely a key. I know the governor just unfortunately vetoed our 2021 SHIP money by him vetoing $1 billion worth of the budget. So hopefully with everyone that's listening, please go on and at least contact the governor's office or your state rep, Mr. Fine, and tell them to, when they have the special session in November, to get that money back for us. That is over $1.5 million that we can put towards the home projects, revitalization, demolition of bladed homes, helping individuals with fixing their roofs, connecting the city water and sewer, things of that nature.
Are you favorite tiny homes?
Yes, community. Yes, definitely. I'm also for the one that's the shipping container over on San Filippo. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like. It looks, it looks are deceiving right now, but each day something else is done. Yes, I'm all for tiny house, tiny home communities. With the builders incorporating in the city, the sky's the limit. With regards to Section 8, I can also see the vouchers are available. And if the homeowners and the rental properties are willing to accept those, I'm perfectly fine with that as well. Of course, I know there's a lot of red tape that has to be involved with the government and so forth with regards to the Section 8 housing. But all inclusive here in Palm Bay, we need to get it back to being a family, oriented community. So yes, I'm for that as well.
Okay, let's take another one from the community. Should the citizens be forced onto city water or sewer or city sewer?
No. If you want to continue on with well or the septic, that's entirely up to you. If you do a renovation and you so desire at that point, and that's available in your neighborhood, there are ways to mitigate the cost that can be put towards you, like from the homes project or the SHIP funds. My mother-in-law actually has well, and she's perfectly fine with it. She enjoys it. If there's ever an issue, she always has her water available. Yes, she needs to add a chlorinator or some filters, but she's perfectly fine with that. And then there's other individuals that live and breathe by city water and city services.
Okay. Let's see. I think that's it. Let me ask you about homelessness really fast.
Sure.
You touched on it briefly. There is a gentleman that's going around advocating for the homeless situation. Um, what's your take on it? Briefly, without going into too much details. I don't have much
Sure.
time.
We actually, Deputy Mayor Johnson is a new member of our Community Development Advisory Board. And we touched base on that this evening about utilizing some of the excess home or SHIP or CBDG funding for, homelessness. We've tossed around numerous ideas as far as being involved. The city should not be involved in, unfortunately, controlling the homelessness situation. We should be advocates for the churches and other nonprofits by providing them funding, providing them grants to help open up overnight shelters, providing the necessary skill trainings, the resources to get them, any type of benefits, whether it's veteran benefits, Social Security disability benefits, Section 8, housing vouchers, things of that nature, to be able to get them off the streets if they so desire. And as far as Mr. Redmond goes, he's a wonderful individual. And I look forward to having an opportunity to sit and talk with him and possibly, work to eliminate some of the homeless issues if I'm given the opportunity as mayor.
Okay. Let's see. Should those on council be homeowners?
I would love to. I would love to agree and say yes. Right now, my wife. We reside in my wife's inheritance. So we will eventually become homeowners. We, take care of the taxes. We take care of the utilities, things of that nature. So it's one of those situations that, yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that a good councilman, because he rents, is not going to be, or a good person that, rents, is not going to be a good representative of the people. I mean, there's several individuals that are running right now, that are renters, and I think they're very good individuals. And yes, they don't understand the true, situation with the millage and the fees and the impact fees and the stormwater assessment fees and things of that nature. But with time, as being a part of the council, they can learn and be more receptive to any changes that are coming forward, by not only the other members of the dais, but also the citizens.
Okay. Let's see. We're running out of time. This is a lengthy comment. Let me see what it says here. Hi, Alan. True leadership is setting the people under you for success. Let me clarify, giving them the tools to take care of the business in your absence. In the 2 weeks, okay, this seems like a off the camera question. Do you want to opine on this?
He knows the response. It's one of those situations that financial troubles happened. My wife took ill. Again, I had 2 surgeries. I was not there. My wife was not there. And unfortunately, things happened. I can't get into details about any, pending litigation, but it kind of stands as it is. Unfortunately, some individuals, they want to hate because they have nothing better to do than to do that.
Okay, I think you answered this question. Could you please explain why you dropped out and re-entered the race again, Mr. Wickens? You showed up late to the party because he answered. That was one of the first questions I asked him. But
sure,
briefly, two sentences. Let's tell him what happened.
Okay, 2 sentences. A friend of mine who worked on my cars was unfortunately harassed on numerous occasions on other Facebook outlets, And at the time, it was one of those, I lost all faith in the possibility of, being a good, not only husband, but also being a good friend, that I looked to possibly get out. As time moved on, I did not, and ended up staying in, and I'm facing everything head on. Um, that individual, it was affecting his business, and it wasn't fair to him being, ridiculed and slammed just because he was trying to help or promote an individual running for office, trying to make a difference in his community.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Take that away. All right. Next week we will have next week, the August 4th, we'll have a chance to hear from Mr. Allen again. He's going to be joining us for the debates, the mayoral debates, and the invitation is going to be going on to all mayoral parties. But I think they already know or had a heads up that August 4th we're going to be having the mayoral debates right here on Palm Bay Live. But right now we have come to the end of the show. It's 10 o'clock, and I do have to take my beauty nap. So it's been a long 2 hours for me. So this is where I ended. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove myself from the screen, and I'm going to do you the courtesy like I done with all the candidates for you to go ahead and tell us why you believe you should be the mayor of Palm Bay. You want to take this last one? This question came in, and I think it's an appropriate one. Let's answer this one really quick. And so this one says, should those in the dais be financially stable? So this is the last question we will take. Go ahead, answer that really quick.
As far as in the past, I've had financial issues. Everything is out there. I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not going to lie it. Going forward, and for the past year and a half, financial issues have started to resolve themselves. Going forward, they will resolve themselves even further. And do I agree every single person in this world needs to be financially stable? In a perfect world, that would be great. But things happen, life happens. I was involved in an accident I was not expecting. So therefore, hardships happen. You go to the hospital and you don't have insurance. Bad things happen. Being isolating an individual for past issues, it's all fine and good to point the finger, but look at them from the person that they are and what they can bring to the table and move forward. So it can go both ways. Yes and no. I mean, you're going to get a good individual. Every candidate that is out there running right now has a history, has a past, whether it's mine, which is out there, or other candidates that have had foreclosures and things of that nature. But it's one of those that, moving forward, it's how you are right now. And right now I'm okay. I'm financially stable. Moving forward, I will be even more. Given the opportunity to be, your next mayor, I will bring dedication. I will make it a full-time job, not a part-time, like I said, a part-time responsibility, just showing up for whatever kind of meetings that may happen. This mayor's job needs to be a full-time responsibility. And I'm willing to give that 100%.
And I said that was the last question, but I do something that, I've been asking all the candidates this, so I need you to tell me, have you, as a candidate, take the time to meet with all department heads, including the city manager, the police force, etc.? Have you sat down and meet with these folks and find out exactly their needs?
Yes, the only one that I was unable to was Miss Mayoral, unfortunately, because of her untimely, departure. But I have met with the chief. I'm a big advocate of, getting more cars and appropriate things, body cams. I put out a post about that. And these are things that need to be addressed because what's happening in the racial situation makeup of the country. It's a part of Palm Bay, and we need to protect the citizens, and we need to protect the police officers. And the only way to do that, instead of having a he said she said, is to possibly have the body cams. There is grants available. There's community development advisory board money that can be put forth for the police department. So it will mitigate the cost to the citizens of Palm Bay. We just need to tap into those resources. Likewise with the vehicles and IT. Like I said, I had a conversation with Brian Johnson, and there were several things that he was looking at to try and shore up our infrastructure as far as for the payment process and the portals and the payment kiosks that'll be coming down the pipe. That he needs. But, of course, things need to be cut. And it's usually those ancillary areas that need to be chopped first in order to make sure that everything else is addressed. Those are things that I would look at on a daily basis to try and assist the manager, deputy city manager, in trying to advocate for the departments to make sure that we can either get the grants or the funding from other sources if needed.
Does the city need a grant writer? Solely grant writer.
We actually have one, and she is actually in the fire department. The Community Development Advisory Board has given the fire department about $2 million in the past 4 years because of her. So I believe she's going to become more utilized mainstream across all the boards and all the departments. So yes, we do have one, and as soon as she starts putting out the appropriate grants, the money's there, it's free. We need to tap into those resources and put it to work for the citizens of Palm Bay.
Okay. Are you 100% in support of body cams? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Good. I think he answered that. Dwayne, I think he also answered your question about what he will do to help support the police department. Hopefully he answered that. So with that said, we've come to the end of yet another Mayoral interview, and we will have two more that's going to be coming up the last week in July. That's going to be 29th and the 30th, I believe it is, 29th and 30th. And that's Rob Medina, and then that's Kay Mirage. It's going to be the last one, and then the fourth will have the Mayoral debate, and that's when you will see Mr. Allen again. But we will have a debate next week, the 23rd. I will have one more interview for judgeships for the 18th Circuit tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And that's not going to be a long interview. Hopefully, that's going to be probably half an hour. So join me for that. Come and support me. It's going to be from 8 to probably 8:30 or so. And so that's going to be a short interview, not going to be lengthy. And so come on and support me for that one. And that's going to be the last one for the week. And so I'm going to give Mr. Allen, I was saying before that I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell the audience why you should be the mayor of Palm Bay. And so I'm going to remove myself from the screen, and let me take off this question off the screen too as well. That way you can bring that home.
Thank you, Kevin. What you see is what you get. I want to make a difference in the community. I've had issues in the past, and I've learned from them. I will move forward and get up every day and make this my responsibility if given the opportunity every day, 100%. The people of Palm Bay deserve that. And if given the chance, I would like to be your next mayor. And please vote for me on August 18th so that we can move Palm Bay forward.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining me, folks. And hopefully you had a fun-filled 2 hours, and my eyes are, you notice I take off my glasses. I am definitely drained after this 2 hours, and I will not do that again to myself. But it's been fun. And I thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for your continued support. And by the way, I need to say this, there is a way for you to help keep the show going. I did put a donation box on the Facebook page, and one is also on the website, palmbaylife.com. Please go there and do donate. I have some goodies that I want to buy. I would like to get a mixing board in order to start taking live calls on the show. That's going to cost me about $400, and so help me raise that fund so I can get that, if anything, so I can at least start taking some live calls on the program going forward. So yeah, so that's where we are, and I thank you for your continuous support, and thank you for what what you're doing. You're offering your services to the public, Mr. Allen, and thanks for stepping into the arena, and thanks for taking the tough questions. Hopefully I wasn't too hard on you. But
no, you were fine. And I thank you for the time, and I thank you for the questions. And like I said, I'm not running away from anything. Everything is out there, and I 100% hope that the constituents of Palm Bay look at my sincerity, my honesty, and look at it as a fresh move in the right direction.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining me. Have fun. Enjoy the rest of your week. Actually, we'll meet again tomorrow night at 8 p.m. sharp. And again, that interview won't be long. So 8 p.m. sharp tomorrow night. Please join me for that one. We'll love your support. And yeah, and thank you so much. Have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.